Hey everybody, I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you all had a lovely Tuesday out there. I'm just getting back from the gym here a few minutes ago, trying to get the body moving again after about 8 or 9 months of inactivity. I've been kind of procrastinating probably the last 3 or 4 weeks. I had this issue with stiffness in my rib cage for a while, and I probably could have gotten back in there a few weeks ago, if not a month or so ago, but I've just still been kind of babying it, plus procrastinating. But anyhow, happy to be moving my body again. Today I want to talk about how to transition to a raw food diet, kind of like two ways. Guys, I do videos every day, so if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I'd really appreciate if you go down and hit that subscribe button so you can come back and check out some more content. Then be sure you click on the little bell and check send notifications so you'll stay subscribed to the channel. I've done videos on this subject before, but I got a lot of people been asking me how to transition, how to go raw, especially over on Instagram and the people that are coming from there over to here. And it's, there's basically two ways to do it. Or, I guess there's varying degrees, but there's pretty much two ways to do it. There's cold turkey, and there's slowly works. Well, slow is a relative word. There's cold turkey, just going straight to a raw food diet. And then there is a slower transition, working your way towards getting there. Now, personally, I don't necessarily recommend the cold turkey method to people. Maybe if you have some life crisis health issue and you have to do it, where you just need to go to the the best available, the highest healing potential that you could have, maybe. But if you have to do that, you might need some help doing that, because it's tough. It's tough. I know there's always somebody that pops in and says, "Well, I did it. I just went, cold turkey overnight, never ate another bite of cooked food again." But I think that's a very, very, very small percentage of people. I just like a simple approach of working your way towards it. Now, I don't mean just like, here's the thing though. Let me make this real clear. The word transition. I know people that have been transitioning for years now. I know some people that have been transitioning almost as long as I've been doing this thing, or at least as long as I've had a channel. And transition should be an active time. It should not be just like, okay, well, I'm parked here, If you really want, and this, once again, too, when I say how to transition to a raw food diet, use the information, to go as far as you want. Maybe you're trying to transition to a raw food diet. You're not necessarily interested in being fully raw, but wherever level you want to transition to, I think the advice would still apply. I think it's simple subtraction and addition. Now, my best advice would be cut the animal products out. Just get those out of your system as soon as possible. Make them non-negotiable as soon as possible. Make that your priority. Go plant-based before you even worry too much about the raw. Now, I'm not saying you can't focus on both aspects to a certain extent at the same time, but that's like number one. Go plant-based. So, if you have to give yourself a few allowances as it pertains to the raw thing in the beginning while you're transitioning there, don't beat yourself up and don't consider those as failures. That's just kind of part of the process, and that's just kind of what you've got to go through. So get the plant-based, boom, just get plant-based, however you're doing it, whatever. Then if we were talking about a longer transition, like a real or long transition, go plant-based. Then get the kind of junk food and the processed stuff out of your diet. Now, I've talked about this many, many times before, so some of you that have been watching me for a few years now, you might even want to just tune out, because I have this simple method. I kind of call it the 5-month plan. If you want to accelerate it, you could do it in 3 months, but 5 months, I almost think anybody should be able to transition from, wherever they are to fully raw, if that's what they want to do in 5 months. And I think that that's how that works for most people, because also too, you're going to be celebrating little victories along the way, and that's psychologically good for you, because then you're going to be happy, you're going to be excited, you're going to learn more, and you're going to move on. Here's what I would suggest. Let's assume, I'm going to assume you're plant-based, or I'm going to assume that you can somehow make it work, or you can actually, maybe you can transition. Now that's actually more realistic. I do know a lot of people that transition straight from eating the standard American diet to plant-based. So let's just suppose that everybody is at plant-based while I'm talking for this advice here. Okay, month number one, and this should be pretty easy, because I've eaten, I ate raw for breakfast, many years before I even knew what raw was. I just enjoyed fruit. Raw till noon. Start with that. That's month number one. That's your only objective right there. You stay raw till noon. You can eat fruit for breakfast, make yourself a smoothie for breakfast. But what you want to do is you don't want to skimp on it. You don't want to eat two bananas and go out the door and be hanging on until lunch. You want to eat a solid breakfast. You want to eat a solid amount of fruit, because that's what's going to keep you going on this lifestyle. You have to eat a lot of food when you come to a raw food diet, or it's not going to work for you. And I'm not talking about just cramming food into you until you're sick of it. But month number one, focus on being raw till noon. Try to be as good as possible. Don't just go raw till noon and then just totally go nuts for lunch and dinner. But that's your main focus, is raw till noon. And then, try to kind of still be learning, and maybe learning some new recipes, whatever. And you can, with your lunch and dinner, you can go from there. A lot of people will be able to. I don't really think it's even hard, and we'll talk about month number two right there. Month number two is going raw till dinner. And it's really not all that hard. I kind of bounce through the day, even if I do eat cooked. I've told you it's usually that one meal at night, and just going through the day raw is just boom. That's just falling off a log, as we say here in the South. Maybe you eat your fruit all morning, and then you have a big green smoothie for lunch. Or maybe you have several meals in between there. Maybe you have your breakfast, then you have something mid-morning, which is a very good idea to keep yourself from getting hungry, and then the brain starts wanting to eat things that you don't want to eat. So, you could easily eat your fruit for breakfast, have a snack, say mid-morning, do a green smoothie for lunch, or you could have a salad for lunch. You don't have to eat fruit all day. Listen, not everybody has to do this thing the same way. I eat a lot of fruit because that's what I have, that's what I like, but you could do, any number of things. But that second month is about going raw till dinner. And you're just, each month you're adding good things, and you're taking a couple of things out. There's that second meal raw during the day. The third month, now here's the third month. For some people in the advanced class, that's not super unrealistic to go from, to go raw in 3 months. Maybe in the third month, all of a sudden now you go fully raw. But, is there really that, unless you, like I say, have some life-threatening illness, is there that huge of a difference between 3 months and 5 months? So what I would kind of suggest is in month number 3, you're going fully raw 3 days a week. The other 4 days of the week, you're going raw till dinner, because you've already kind of mastered, should we say, you've mastered the raw until dinner thing. So for month number 3, you're going you're going fully raw 3 days a week. Month number 4, you're going fully raw 5 days a week. And then finally, month number 5, you're doing the fully raw thing. Now, once again, like I say, you can use this mentality to however you want to. Maybe you're like I say, maybe you're sitting there saying, well, I don't want to be fully raw, but I would like to be high raw, or maybe I would like to do raw till dinner, whatever. But it's a progression. It's a progression, and that sounds boring to people. They want some plan that's going, like, in 1 month, 60 days top, that's like boom, 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 boom. You see things happening all the time. This is kind of plodding along, but this is, I sincerely believe, this is giving you the best chance of doing this lifestyle and actually it's sticking and you doing this long term. There's a lot of people that switch over to raw and they do raw for whatever 60 days or whatever, but it's almost this mentality of like they're just hanging on. They're hanging on. But I think with this method, with transitioning your way there in a slow and steady way, although 5 months isn't slow. Like I say, I was 48 years old when I started eating a raw food diet, and I didn't do this. I did similar type things, but I went very high raw from the beginning. I think having a little bit more of a plan would have worked a little bit better, but still worked out for me. But like I said, you can jump in cold turkey, but that's not my recommended way to do this. Take your time, learn a little bit. As you're doing these early stages, even in month 1, like I say, I would recommend, as you're doing raw till noon, read some of these references I've talked about in the past. Brenda Davis, Becoming Vegan, Becoming Raw. Learn the basics of a plant-based diet. Because a lot of the basics of a plant-based diet will help you. It doesn't matter if you're doing raw or if you're doing cooked. A lot of those fundamentals are the same. Like I've said many, many times, I just take the stuff that I read that's not about raw, and I just translate it in my mind to how can I apply this same principle, this same concept to raw. So anyhow, it's not all that hard. It sounds like it's kind of like taking smaller bites. When you see the big task ahead of you, going raw all of a sudden, that's like, wow, I've never done that. I can't do that. But when you see these smaller, okay, you've got this goal. You've got, you go raw till noon. Boom. You do that for a month. You feel good about yourself. You've accomplished something. You've been successful. So now you're pumped. You're psychologically stoked, and you're ready for that second month. And then you get a win at the end of the second month, and you're learning all along the way. You're learning recipes. You're learning tricks. You're learning some maybe kitchen gadgets that'll make things easier for you. But you're learning. You're learning as you go. And I thoroughly believe one of these days I'm going to get one of you people as a lab rat and just have you in my grasp, and you're going to do what I tell you. Hopefully, I'm not going to force you, but hopefully you're going to do it just like I tell you, and I'll be able to say, see, that wasn't so hard, was it? So anyhow, just a little advice, thoughts, practical information, if you will. Hope you guys enjoyed this one today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.